right, so now we're going to look at our next example. It says to find the mean, the median, and mode of the data, and then choose the best measure to represent the data and explain what our reasoning is. So we're going to explain why we're choosing the part that we are. Okay, so we're going to bring back from what we did last section in 9.2 with the mean, and we actually have to find all three of them. But we also need to make sure that we label all three of them so that we know which one is the mean, which one is the median, and which one is the mode. To start with, we can go ahead and pick the mean. And remember, the mean is when we add all the values up and divide by how many there are. So I'm going to go ahead and write 85 plus 70 plus 60 plus 10 plus 89 plus 85 plus 63. And then I'm going to take all those values, which I have 7 values there. I'm going to divide by 7 because that's how many values I have. Okay. So to do this, I add those 7 numbers up, and I get 462 over 7. And then I'm just going to go ahead and divide 462 by 7, and I get 66. So the mean is 66. And I'm going to circle that because that's one of the numbers they asked me to use. So the average of this data set is 66. Then I go ahead and I have to find the median. And some people will actually take the numbers and organize them from smallest to largest in the mean problem so that they can use it for the median. Otherwise, you can do it as a separate problem as well. So I'm going to go ahead and organize these. I have 10, 60, 63, 70, 85, 85, and 89. And again, I have 7 numbers, so I have an odd number of data values, which means I know I'm going to have only one number left in the middle. And I'm simply going to go ahead and check off highest and lowest number. So 10 is going to match with 89, 60 is going to match with 85, 63 is going to match with 85, and that means I have one number left in the middle. I had 3 below that number, 3 above that number, so my median for this problem is 70. And then it asked me to find the mode. And the mode is simply the number that occurs most often, so I like to use the same number as that I did for the median. And I look on this number, on the number list or the data set, and there's only one number that repeats, and that's 85. So then the mode is 85 for this data set. There's no other number that repeats. And then the last thing it asked me is to choose the best measure to represent the data and explain. So if I look at these numbers, I look at my mean, median, and my mode. I notice that the mode is pretty high compared to all the numbers. Okay, there's a 10 in there, but 85 is the second highest number. So the mode probably is not going to be a good choice to use to represent this data. 70 is right in the middle, and so that kind of accounts for the highs and the lows. And the mean uses that outlier of 10 in there as well. Okay? So if you're looking at this data, if you accept the outlier, both the mean and the median are pretty close together. So I would say that the mean and the median are very close to a center of this data set. So if I'm going to select any of these centers to represent this data, I would say the mean or median could represent this data set. However, it asked me to explain. So those would represent this data set because they are centered. Okay, they're all types of center. The reason I would select these two and not the mode, though, is because the mode is greater than most of the data. So I'm going to put the mode is greater than most of the data. And because it's greater than most of the data, it would not be a really good choice for me to use as a type of center for this data set. But the mean and the median are both fairly close to each other, and they are a good representation for this data set.